Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. Some more breaking news for you guys. This offseason is just not slowing down. I really can't remember an offseason in recent memory that has just had so many massive moves. And the newest big move is that Tyreek Hill is being traded to the Miami Dolphins. The official offer is a 2022 first, number 29, a second round pick, a fourth round pick, and then fourth and sixth round picks from the 2023 draft. So a massive blockbuster trade here. The Dolphins go out, get another stud for Tua. And if we're just going to break this down, let's start off with the Dolphins side first, because they're the ones who kind of made this huge splash move, at least for fantasy. And let's just go with the guy who was just traded, Tyreek Hill. Heading into this offseason, I don't really think anyone thought that he would be moved. I think most people expected him to get an extension. That did not happen. And for 2022 fantasy drafts, Tyreek Hill was kind of going in that wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 range, probably at the latest. You had guys like Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those guys were likely going ahead of him. But you could totally have made an argument that Tyreek Hill is in the same tier as those guys. And then he was kind of in that Devontae Adams range because we didn't know if Devontae was going to stay or move on. Now I feel like Tyreek Hill has definitely got to fall out of that range. He's probably moving behind guys like Deebo Samuel and Stephon Diggs. And then you're starting to look at him as is he like a back to mid-end wide receiver 1? Is he a back-end wide receiver 1? Because he's going from a situation where he was the clear-cut top wide receiver on an elite offense with a top-tier quarterback. Now he's going to the Dolphins. This was not an explosive offense last season. It was actually probably the opposite of explosive. It wasn't, one of these big play attacks. And also he's got competition there with Jalen Waddle. And now Jalen Waddle was another player who was going as like a back-end wide receiver 1. That value is definitely going to fall off because the assumption with Jalen Waddle is that as a rookie, he saw all this volume. Now maybe Mike McDaniels comes in. He can have that volume and unlock some more big playability like we saw out of him in college. But now, I feel like most people would confidently say that Tyreek Hill, today is the better wide receiver. In a few years that may be different, but Tyreek Hill is still elite. And when I'm looking at this Dolphins team, I feel like the biggest piece of this has got to be Tua. Because if Tua is just not the guy, then this entire thing is going to fall apart. They've done everything they can to surround him with weapons. They now have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They've upgraded the offensive line. The running back position is fine, but not super important when you're looking at the quarterback. So this is really going to come down to, can Tua be, a solid to above average NFL quarterback? Because if he can even be slightly above average, he can keep these guys afloat. But, looking back to last season, Tua really had no, upside in terms of fantasy. I think he came in as QB 23 in points per game. In 13 games, he only threw for 2,653 yards, only threw for 16 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. So those are not great numbers there. The hope there is that he can improve it. But is that something I really want to go all in on? Not yet. We're kind of just going to have to wait and see, where Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle's values fall. Hopefully, for all these guys, Mike McDaniels gets in there, does his work on Tua, and this turns into a solid offense. But it really all just remains to be seen. Now moving over to the Chiefs, this is also going to have a massive impact on a lot of their studs. This is a major hit for Patrick Mahomes. Even though he's still one of the best quarterbacks, he just lost his, arguably number one weapon. You could say Travis Kelce, but any way you slice it, he was a top tier weapon for Patrick Mahomes. Their skill sets kind of matched up with that big playability. And for me, I think Patrick Mahomes was going to be my QB5 heading into the season. Just thinking about it quickly, I had Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. I think I had those 4 guys ahead of him, and then it was going to be Mahomes. But now you're kind of looking at that second tier, and with Mahomes not providing that elite rushing upside, I could totally make an argument for Tom Brady to slide up there. You're looking at Brady's weapons. If they're able to re-sign Gronkowski, I feel like Brady would probably jump Patrick Mahomes. And then you're getting into the range of some other guys where I feel like I'd probably prefer Patrick Mahomes, but there is an argument to be made there. For Juju, this is interesting because, it kind of seemed like he was going to slot in as the wide receiver 2. Didn't know, how much of a role he would play on this team. I don't think this, skyrockets Juju's value because if we're looking back on his time with the Steelers, he was fantastic as the wide receiver 2 behind Antonio Brown. once AB left, Juju is not able to, carry the load of the wide receiver one, and that's where his production totally fell off. So I would expect the Chiefs to make a splash. Maybe they go after one of these top wide receivers in the draft, but I wouldn't be going out and spending, a ton of capital to go get a guy like Juju Smith or even in your best ball drafts, because I feel like they've got to be making some moves here, especially they've lost some of their back end wide receivers. I think Demarcus Robinson left. Was it Pringle went to the Bears? So they're definitely still going to be, some extra moves for the Chiefs here at the wide receiver position. But those are my initial thoughts. Another big move. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comment section. And then also stay tuned. I think tomorrow I'm going to be putting out like my way too early running back rankings. Most of these guys have signed. So, just some initial rough rankings that we're going to update throughout the offseason. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.